All right, so for this recording or this video, what we're going to do is discuss company formatting. So backing up and organizing your folders as a company when using Chief Architect, along with things to remember when organizing your folders specifically. So you're going to see a very blank screen right now, and what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly show you how you can organize and the way to think about your folders and how to use them for Chief. So first things first, you're going to see this is just my home screen. I'm on a PC again, so this is just giving you a rough overall. When it comes down to, I'm going to say first, when it comes down to saving on a hard drive versus saving on a cloud-based file management, you're going to see that I actually do use a cloud-based file management. I use Dropbox, which is something that, as long as you have good internet, that's the key, good internet that is fast, then working on Dropbox is great. Actually, it's something that I would really recommend if you work with a team. So if you are somebody who has multiple team members that will be using Chief Architect, Dropbox is actually a must. It will save you so much time. You can get an admin business account through Dropbox, have multiple users, be able to control who can see what, who has access to what folders, and then people can, my biggest draw was that I can actually decide what is downloaded and what isn't on my actual hard drive, which is what the actual, like, when I'm saying hard drive, what that is it's your local disk. So that's where when you're buying a computer and it might say 512 gigabytes, that's what your hard drive is. It's the amount of space available on your computer, versus a cloud-based file management software like Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive. Those are loaded in onto the internet into the quote-unquote cloud, right? So those the cloud-based ones, you do have to generally pay a fee for those to be able to get more storage. Most of the time you're going to end up needing to pay for that. So that's just something to be aware of, but overall I found it's very, very worth it. Using Dropbox gives me the flexibility of being able to have a desktop, and then I also have a laptop that I can very quickly open up and have access to all of my files on the laptop as well. So that being said, whether or not you use a hard drive or cloud-based, you should definitely still have everything being backed up. So if you're not going to use a cloud-based server, then you want to make sure that you have an external hard drive. Now here's my little story. Granted, this was years and years ago, but I am more apprehensive to use external hard drives that are, like not cloud-based. And the reason for that is because I was well into my master's thesis when about 2 weeks before my final thesis review, I had done about 150 pages of what would turn into about a 200-page book. I had things modeled in Revit. I was all ready to go, and I was running things off of my external hard drive, which is actually a really big no-no to begin with. But I was trying to save space on my computer because I really didn't have enough hard drive space. So because of that, the external hard drive crashed. And at least as of 2011, hard drive companies were not responsible for data being able and any kind of data loss. So I ended up having to rebuild everything from a really old PDF. So that's why, for me, from a business standpoint, I would rather pay the money and know that my files are being backed up in Dropbox, and then I have control over what is being loaded on my computer and what isn't, if that makes sense. Needless to say, how I'm going to recommend that and how I'm going to show you how I organize my folders will hopefully help you be able to come up with a system, because it's going to be so much easier to come up with a file or a folder management and file system now before you get too far down the rabbit hole with Chief Architect, because everything is linked through paths. So with that, I am going to actually, the first thing I will say is you don't ever want to save anything on your desktop, ever. And it's because your computer is trying to process all of that. Additionally, generally we all like to clean our desktops off every now and then. So because it's very path related and links in Chief, once you move something off of your desktop, that link will change, so that path will change. So to give you an idea, like this textures, my Chief Architect textures folder, if I were to click on this, this is actually becomes a path. So it'll be all of this information will then be linked into, so you can see how that path looks, right? And then it'll have this file name at the back of it if it's linked into Chief Architect. So this is why if I were to turn around and move this folder, so for example, if I were to, let's say that we're going to do a new folder here, and let's do example project folder. All right, so if we were to come in here and open this guy up, right, and we were to look at this path, you're going to see that the path right now says users, K-free, or whatever it is, OneDrive, desktop, example project folder. Versus if we were to look at this path over here, you're going to see it's saying the same users, then it's saying KFD admin Dropbox, and then it's saying CA and HD textures. So as you can see, those are slightly different. So that link looks different, that path looks different, and Chief Architect is going to read that differently if we were to move it. So let's say we turn around then and move this example project, remembering that the path is saying OneDrive, desktop, example, all those sorts of things. And let's say that we want to actually put it somewhere. So I'm going to just, I'm going to use this client folder template. So this is I'm going to go over this with you guys too. So let's say we move this over here and I drop it in here. So it says example folder. Now if I click on this, you're going to see it says users, KFD admin Dropbox, new client folder template versus. So you're going to see that path is dramatically different than if we had kept it on the desktop. So that's one of the reasons why, and I'll show you the materials. We'll go over this when we're talking about materials and whatnot as well. That is why you want to make sure that you pick someplace and you never ever move your files. So if you know that you are going to use Dropbox, use Dropbox. If you're not quite sure, just be prepared that you're going to have to know that things are going to become unlinked and you're going to have to relink things later. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy. And you're going to see, because this is loading onto my Dropbox folder, my new client folder. So this is how I organize my files. I always have a new client folder, and my folders are organized by my clients, not by my project. And the reason that I do it this way is because I can have one client that has multiple projects versus one project generally has the same client, like could have multiple clients, right? But you're always going to have a main client. So specifically speaking, if you were to look at the different interior designers and different people that I've worked for, my numbering system is set up so that any of my own personal projects are labeled in the 100s. I have 200s are generally for, so if we were to look here, you're going to be able to see. So 100s are for my own projects, 200s are for interior designers. And then if I'm using 300s, it's generally, some sort of extra project. And then the way that I number these are by the year. So as I am building these out, you're going to see specifically, let's say for 2023, the year will be 23, and then 0000 is my admin folder. And then each new designer or client that I hire, or that hires me. So this would be, if you are an interior designer, this is each new homeowner or business client or anything like that, you would then do a new number. So you can see that Jill Brown was 200, so she's an interior designer, and she was the first interior designer to sign with me this year. And then once I get into that, you're going to now see that I have a client shared folder that, because this is through Dropbox, I can now share this link. I also used Dubsado, so I will load that so that all of my clients can log in and be able to see folders as I'm sharing different files, and they're able to upload things to me as well. I have a contracts and admin, so if I'm doing spec sheets, anything like that, this tends to be more, the contracts and admin is more overarching for a client, and it's not project based though, so that's just something to think about. And then I have different project folders. So in here, what I'll do is, if we were to look at, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good one. So if we were to, like, let's say this one here. So you can see that this is for Michelle at Amber Leaf. You can see here that she had a project that I worked with. She signed on to me in 2022. She was the first designer to sign on with me that year, and this is the first project. This stays consistent. This initial very first number stays consistent through each client, and then as each project is done, you just add an underscore and a new number. So this makes it easy too, so if you're making orders or anything like that and they're asking for any kind of purchasing number, then you can use one of these numbers and then the underscore, and that's directly related to each specific project. Then within each project folder, I'll come in here and I always have a Chief Architect working plan files. And what that is my layout files, my plan files, anything along those lines are right here. I'll also have an archive folder, and then I will make sure to save anything that the designer is providing me there as well. By doing it this way, you are making sure that your folder, your plan files are consistently saved. It's very, very well organized for each design, or for each client. And then I also have a textures folder. So this again is in my Dropbox. It's available to my entire team, and this is where, as I build materials, the image file is automatically saved into my Chief Architect or Home Designer textures folder. And you can see there are thousands of them because I've been using this software for a long time. But I never ever move this, so the path stays very consistent for both myself, my other computers, and then my team members if they were to open up one of my projects. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for joining me.